I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item is the minutes from the last meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
A second.
Properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes by Dave and seconded by Nicole. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Presentation of the bills. Do I have a motion to approve if there's no questions? Motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Paul. Is there a second? Second? Or Nicole, do you have a question?
I just had one, but it's on H2O. That one looks like it's membranes, and I'm not familiar with it. It's $59,000, but Jim said it's every 10 years, so.
We did approve that a while back. I don't remember
Yeah,
exactly.
so I just was wondering what that was.
Yep.
Can remember.
Would you like to second the motion for?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Moved by Paul, seconded by Nicole to approve the bills. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is the disconnect list.
No objections, I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved by Dave, seconded by Jason for the disconnects. I will say you guys are doing a good job because it's much shorter than it used to be.
Sure is.
All those in favor, please, or Jason,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
and a yes for me. Motion carries. Commissioners' reports. We'll start with Nicole tonight.
I have nothing to report tonight.
Dave?
I have nothing that's other than what's on the agenda.
Paul.
I don't have much. We did on economic development for HEDC. They did show up. They did have representation at the Trail County Community Showcase that was held at the brewery last Thursday, and I want to thank Casey for taking time to go over there and help represent the city and help answer any questions that people may have as far as programs that the city has that they can utilize. If she enjoyed it, I don't know. She didn't really say if she enjoyed it or not, but I thank you for doing that. I was able to pop in there for a little while, but I wasn't able to spend the whole day there, and it sounded like they had a lot of people, so hopefully we'll get something happening out of that. On the electrical side, we're still just working on projects for next year and getting things lined up to get the load controls installed. Hopefully that'll get moving here shortly, so my meeting with Jim got cut short this morning, so we didn't get some things covered, so if he has any more information on that he'd like to add, maybe. I don't know if he does. So, no. So, that's all I have, except for what's on the agenda.
Thank you.
Jason?
All I have on the sheriff's office, the third new dispatcher did start today, and also did the deputy.
That's great to hear. So, quite a few things going on with the planning and zoning. They did meet last week, and they're looking with Wideseth out of Grand Forks, or East Grand Forks, for possibly doing our building inspections. They're on an hourly rate, and so we're getting some numbers from them to see what it would cost to do building inspections from them. But they are a full family package deal similar to AE2S, but they also, so they can, if there's questions on things, they can send it up the chain and not charge extra for that, is what they said. And it's not based on a fee per, or the amount of a new build or whatever the project cost. It's based off of hourly. So we're going to send a couple building permits from here to see what they would charge, or what they think it would be to run. They are moving forward on the ordinance for the storage containers, and we added some more language in there because we had 2 storage containers on commercial lots that they're both calling them temporary, and so we're saying what they wanted added in would be that if it's 1 year or less, then it's a temporary structure. If it's 1 year or more, then it's permanent, so then it wouldn't need to be covered if it's 1 year or less as a temporary structure. They had a individual and company that reached out and asked about some factory built buildings. I don't foresee that they were going to approve them at this point, just because there's no kitchen areas in them. But just so you're aware of it, if you hear of it, you can pass that around. That was the design that was given to us. There was some on that. It seemed very, looked like, I hate to use the word, but it looks like a man camp almost.
Pretty much what it is. The title says anyway.
So, but they didn't seem
Almost like what they have down here, isn't it? In a way.
similar,
Tennis court.
similar, I think, but not quite. There is a property, just so you're aware, that is asking to be annexed in. JR got the email, and we'll start that process. Down in by the city shop on that end. They're looking currently at 2 duplexes to put in there. Beautification, they met as well. They're moving forward. They have a few, which you'll see late on, that they're forwarding on to you guys for properties. We've also gotten several that are starting to become compliant and working, so that is working. They're also looking at other projects to do, and updates, and what else we can do to beautify the community. They were, she's getting it cleaned up except for the one part that we asked to move, so. And court is Wednesday, I believe, for those that we have, unless something changes, but that was the last thing I seen was the 20th. And Casey said if she had time, she was gonna go check it out. So, it's not the actual trial, I think this one is the pre-trial hearing, if I remember right. Does that sound right, JR? There's like 3 of them that it goes through. Because it's first they plead, and then it's a pre-trial hearing, and then it's the actual trial. I think that is it. I'm trying to remember if there was something else. Jim, you're up. Thank you. Happy birthday the other day. JR, do you have anything to say?
Nothing from the attorney's perspective, but I do have a report from the lodging tax. We had our meeting sometime recently, and I can't remember what it was. Last Wednesday, I've been told. Nicole was there. We had a full commission together. Our recommendation that we proposed to the city, which goes with your confirmation, was to spend $3,000 from the current lodging tax towards the new sign as later on the agenda. So that was just our recommendation that we kind of talked about and discussed. I would note that I think we currently have about $10,000 in lodging tax. Take off this 3, we'll be left with about 7. So with your guys' motion and approval, you could use those lodging tax funds then.
Appreciate that. So with that, do I have a motion to approve using $3,000 from lodging tax for the sign?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Moved by Paul, seconded by Dave to approve $3,000 for the lodging tax. Is there any other discussion? Nicole? Jason?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carries.
That's all I had.
Thank you, JR. Ashley? Sarah? Boy, I'm losing it today. Casey? We'll go through all of them.
Not,
Long day.
Creature of habit, right?
It's been a long day.
not a whole lot in our office. It's been busy, but nothing real reportable. I did need to make a correction though, on that grant we were talking about, at the previous meeting. After looking into it a little bit further, it is a cost share grant. So I'm kind of looking for you guys to hopefully get your blessings on it still. It's a 75% covered grant up to $10,000. The city, if we were to get it, would cover the other 25%. So I just wanted to clarify that with you guys and kind of request to have that approved. We had a WSI representative come in and check out our offices, and they'll be getting us a report for the recommendation of stand-up desks and other ergonomic equipment, hopefully before the end of the year. So that's all I have.
Thank you. I remembered what the other item was, is that, give you an update on the audit. We are getting close. So I think there was some last week too, or last time, but I couldn't remember. So, but we are getting closer on that.
Do you want a motion for her? On
Unless-
on the balance, or how do you want to do that?
We approved it. I don't remember if it said, but we can do a new motion. Otherwise, if you are all in agreement, we could go with that as well. But if anybody is not in agreement, then we need a new motion.
I have no problem with it. I just didn't know if we had to do the paperwork on it, so.
I figured it was fiscal, I better ask. So.
Right. Nicole, any issues with Dave?
No, I'll stand by my motion I made.
Jason.
Where would we be taking the funds out of?
It'd come out of the general fund,
Okay.
out of their line item
Okay.
office.
Any ideas of what that might be? 25?
You had to ask that.
We aren't sure yet. We did have somebody come from Rough Rider Industries. They're a North Dakota-based company that specializes in office equipment, and they do stand-up desk options. He'll be getting us a quote sometime in January. So,
Thank you.
but, yep, the estimate that he threw out was between 8 and 9, and that's without considering what the grant dollars would do for that.
Okay. I think the item for Steve that Steve had is in the list, correct? Yes, it's a D. The beautification tickets, there's 3 tickets that beautification had forwarded on to all of you. These 3 properties letters were sent, nothing had changed and no response back from those homeowners. So then the next step would be, if you guys agree, to forward that on, and JR would send the letter out from the city. And hopefully then we would get a response at that point, which we did on the planning and zoning side when we sent out the building permits that didn't get sent out. So things from Onstead Twitchell seem to attract attention. So if you're okay with that, I just need a motion to approve moving forward on those 3 tickets.
My question is, when, 'cause I haven't dealt with these from the beginning a lot, when these are coming in, are they coming into the office? To the auditor's office?
Not necessarily.
Okay, and are we keeping a ticket at the auditor's office that keep up with the tickets, that, so we can see it too and see what's going on with them?
Most of the time they're added in online to the ticket system. I don't know if they got put in. Sarah, do you remember if we did? Because Sarah did it earlier, and I don't know if we've taught Abby how to do it yet. Not the complaint letters, like when we send it out, if it got added into the same as on the planning and zoning side. Yeah.
So I'm looking, oops, so I'm looking at the policy procedures, and it says under procedure recognition, when a lot or area has been recognized by a person, the first step is to notify the City of Hillsboro Auditor's Office. The Auditor's Office will keep a log of all possible violations. The log will keep track of the following items: date of notification, address, description of violation of ordinance, individual of complaint and phone number, any further complaints at the same address by other individuals.
Right. And that, maybe we need to change that part of the ordinance, because we've changed it internally, we just haven't changed the complaint, that process, but it was a back and forth whether we were doing it that way or whether the complaint came in, and whether because some have come to, could be somebody on the beautification side that says that here's a complaint that comes in. It could come to me, it could come to any one of them, or it could come into the auditor's office. And it's kept more of a honor system of who's taken the complaint, so that we know that there is somebody.
Well, I guess to me, if we have this policy set up, it seems to make the most sense just to let them go to the auditor's office if we're not, and just switch that. So
Which is fine. Previously it wasn't taken at the auditor's office, or they didn't want to do it, so, but it is something that we can change and do as we move forward.
I think we should get it so that our policy is going to match up with how we do it, because my issue that I have is, for me, it's tough to ask somebody out there to obey by our policies when we're not obeying by our policies.
Yep.
It might be just my law enforcement side, but
No, I understand that. Like I said, it was originally that was how it was supposed to work, and I don't know how it turned into what we were at, but at some point it didn't want to be done there, or it didn't want to happen, so we changed it a little bit. But we can move forward. As we move forward or we get them, that's how we can make sure they go into the office first.
or we can discuss if we want to change. And I'm just,
Right.
either way, it's not a big, I just think we should do what the way we have it set up.
Right. And I totally forgot about it. I haven't looked at the ordinance for a while, so. Not necessarily. I've went under the understanding, and I've said this before, and Paul's probably heard me say it a few times, is that I will hold the complaint, and unless I'm ordered by a judge to say that, and I won't say who the complaint was based on their feeling of somewhat being anonymous. Because some of the issues we had talked about was if it comes in the office, is it open records there that anybody could... Right. Because we're not, if a complaint comes in, and that's the biggest thing, it's not, just because a complaint comes in doesn't mean that it's going to move forward. If a complaint comes in, it's, okay, that starts, we'll go look at it, pictures get sent out to all the beautification members, and then they determine whether or not, yes, it is in violation, or no, it's not in violation, and then we move forward from there. And the first step again is asking them to come in and talk about it.
You get Casey, Sarah, do you guys have a preference? Would you like them to come to the office? Would you like it to be done the way that it's being done?
I'm kind of learning this part as I go. I am a policy first person too, so bearing no intense labor on Sarah or Abby. Typically, Abby and Sarah, I think, take care of most of those. I haven't had to touch beautification tickets ever. But yeah, Sarah, what's your opinion? I'm gonna lean on you for this one.
Okay. Right. Correct. And I think,
Well, I think the way this is, you guys still have your file, but the initial complaints would come into the office, and then they would disperse them out to the beautification committee, correct?
correct. Right. And I think part of it is that, I don't know if then was seen, does the auditors have to go the auditor's office have to go take the pictures and send all that stuff out? And I think that's maybe where I'm not sure where the disconnect came, but we can go back to that and we can work it out. We can figure it out, so. Right.
But the whole point of beautification is not for the commission to be going out and looking for spot, it's to receive complaints, correct?
Correct. And I can
So
tell
then
you
if the
that,
office receives the complaint, they would send it out to the commission, the letter that they received, and they could see it, and then that way too, I think it would help us that we could, cause like, I don't know what the exact complaints on the 3 properties are, so it'd be nice to also be able to see that, so I can go do my research before I vote.
they are, or should be, unless you didn't have access on it, on the Teams folder.
Yeah, I might, probably just haven't found them if they are in there.
They're all, maybe they did. If you want to hold off till the next meeting and make sure that they're put in. They may not have gotten put in. 2023-001 is in there. But the other two are not. And that's where we need to figure it out too. Maybe I'll just need to sit down with you guys and figure it out. Right. But yes, the 2023-001 is in there. The 2 and 3 are not in there. And normally, if I remember, we sent them out when it goes to the commission, or to the beautification commission, we send it out to the commission as well, but I wonder if 2 and 3 might have happened at the meeting, and that's why it didn't get sent out.
Yeah, because I don't think I've ever seen it get sent to me.
Okay. We'll send you a copy of we'll send out everything again, and we'll hold off till next meeting before we send the stuff out, if everybody's okay with that. Okay. I didn't realize that not everybody had it, so, as well.
As long as the gals in the office get the complaints, they can turn everything over to the planning and zone, or the beautification.
Great. Okay. Next item is the cybersecurity updates from Ben. He has a letter in here, but so if you have any questions for him on that, otherwise we have a few things to approve on.
Sure, that's important. Oh, okay. Is this working? Yeah. It says frequency 5. That's good.
It should be.
All right.
You just might have to get closer. You just might have to get closer.
Like this close? All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Ben Gates. I don't know all of you, and I know a couple of you. So a little bit of background. I have been the Director of Emergency Management in Steele County for the last 7 years. For the last 3 years, I've been the Assistant Director here in Trail County. I also run our 911 program over in Steele, and then help out over that with that here in Trail as well. My background and why I'm coming to you today is I write a lot of grants. I do a lot of work with that. Over the last 7 years in steel, I've been able to bring in over $10 million in steel in the last 7 years. So I have quite a bit of success doing it. Not to pat myself on the back, but to pat myself on the back a little bit. We all have to do that every once in a while. So I apologize I wasn't able to be here when Joe was here the last time. I have children and they get you sick, and that wasn't fun laying in bed all day, because that's not the kind of person I am. So I come here today. I did send over some information to Casey and Sarah, but wanted to go through just a couple of the things, give you a little bit of my background, and then be able to answer any questions that you guys may have. Be able to put that face to a name so you guys aren't going, who the hell is this Ben Gates, right? So first and foremost, the 2022 cybersecurity grant. So Joe had mentioned that at your last meeting. The funding was approved in the amount of $12,500. That was the original purpose for that was for a new server. And like Joe said last time, talking to you guys, the whole process with that was bids came in way higher, realized that scope maybe wasn't exactly where it needed to be. So we went back and we are going to ask the state and the feds for a scope of work change on that project. So I will listen to your guys' meeting when you guys discuss that, and Joe and I are going to make that wording and get that in. First and foremost, what we had to do was called the Nationwide Cybersecurity Review. That's a federally required thing. As you get Homeland Security dollars, you have to complete that assessment. So that didn't open until October. We had to wait for the approvals. It takes about a month and a half for all that stuff to work out. We just got that approval, and Joe completed that. Joe and I completed that last week, or 2 weeks ago. So the hold was removed from the 2022 cybersecurity grant, so we can proceed forward with the scope of change. So it's a lot of just do the first step, then do the second step, then do the third step sort of thing. wanted to just include you guys in on what state bids, state contracts, and then procurement laws and how that stuff goes with the federal grants that we work with. On the federal side of things, and correct, does the city have a separate procurement contracting policy that you guys work with? Like if it's up to a certain amount, you do something different?
Yep.
Okay. Is it more stringent than the federal requirements? Did you guys get a chance to look at that? Or is it more loose?
I think we are a little bit more on some aspects. I don't know if we are on all aspects.
Okay.
We can get you a copy of it.
It'd just be good to know because we would find, if it's more stringent in all aspects of it, we would follow the cities. But if it's not, if it doesn't meet those certain thresholds that are set in place by the feds, we would just go with the federal governments. So the feds, what they say is any project less than $10,000, we can single source it. So any sort of vendor or contractor you guys want to move forward with, we can move forward with that. Any projects between that 10,000 and 150,000 has to be informally bid. We have to obtain at least 3 bids in order to do that. It's usually just good practice anyways to get the 3 bids, at least 2. If it's less than 10,000, we try to do that anyways. But we have to, we're federally required to do that between those dollar amounts. Anything above 150,000 from the federal side is required to do a formal request for proposal, do the sealed bid process, all that fun stuff. So on the 2022 cybersecurity grant, we're dealing with $12,500. It is above that 10,000 threshold. So we would have to normally go out for and obtain 3 bids. However, there is a state contracting, state bidding policy that is in there. So all that says is that as long as it's formally done through the state of North Dakota, each municipality, each political subdivision has access and the ability to utilize those state contracts. So what that does is that allows us to basically single source that procurement side instead of having to go out for state bid, or instead of having to go out for bid. If that makes a little bit of sense. Paul's like, are you good? Are you done? Making sure. Nothing. Sorry. Trying to make a
I was
joke.
told to look at people when they talk.
Oh,
I'm
that's
jealous.
awesome.
That's why I'm looking at you.
I'm just making sure I'm answering all your questions. I just didn't want you to leave here and not have your questions answered. That's all. So that's kind of the procurement side of that. We use the state contracts for quite a number of things that we do. For the simple being is that it's easier and it works out in the long run for all of us. For that contract and for the cybersecurity 23 cybersecurity grant, we would utilize the state bid more than likely. High Point Networks tends to have a lot of that stuff on the back end of things, so we would go through Joe to utilize the contracting from there. So the deadline to complete that work is November 30th of 2025. It is a longer period grant than what we normally deal with. 95% of that is going to be reimbursed back to you guys. So from a federal standpoint, it's 90%. That's $11,250. The state is going to kick in 5%. That's $625. Locally, that's the city of Hillsboro would kick in the other $625. So total cost of the city is, once it's all said and done, is $600. So are there any, before I move forward, any questions on the 22 cyber grant? Okay. From the 23 cyber grant, we applied for over, I think you guys told Joe to apply for $100,000. When all the projects and everything came back, it was just over $160,000 in total request. We applied for a new server, the city computer systems replacement, this physical security systems like your cameras and access controls, cybersecurity awareness training, which is free from the state and Remark, and the management costs related to these projects. Once it was all said and done, the committee that deals with the cyber grant gave their preliminary approval for $28,500. It's not uncommon to shoot for the moon and get back a small portion of it. That's extremely common, especially when we're dealing with federal government funds. So I think I 100% agree with your guys' conversation from last time you discussed this. How much do we shoot for? What do we go for? Do we go for everything? I think you do. I think you go for as much as you can, and then you wait and see what's approved. I say it's all preliminary approval because the federal government has not awarded this project to the state yet, which just means we can't move forward with anything at this point. We have to wait until that federal award is done through the state before we can legally proceed. We don't want to do anything beforehand, otherwise we run the thought process of maybe we have to pay money back, and we don't want to have to do that. Basically, we're pretty much ready to go. Deadline for work on that is November 30th of 26. 84.55% is going to be reimbursed back to the city once the grant is expended. Federally, that's $22,800. The state is going to kick in $1296.75, and the city of Hillsboro would cover their $4403.75. So that's your guys' cost when it's all said and done. Again, it's all reimbursement, so you pay the full costs, and then the reimbursements come back from there. I attached the grant narrative of what we applied for. We did get a special note in that grant. The physical security stuff, the camera access and the access control points and stuff, there is a Homeland Security grant that comes out annually, like February, March, April-ish timeframe. We did get a special note that that's probably a better place of where those requests would go into. That is, and I went into that on the next page, that is 100% reimbursable grant. So in essence, free money back from the feds. That would be where we would start applying a larger majority of that request that you guys had to. So, and I kind of explained what all that is. So going into just kind of some of my thoughts and some requests, and just kind of wanted to break it down from you guys. I'm not really sure how permissions work with this commission. Every commission's different, every council's different, so I wanted to approach you guys and see what your guys' thoughts were. In my job, I have the leeway to apply for these grants, kind of see what happens, and then we figure out the dollar amounts later. This always works, though, on a continuing forward amount basis, right? So it's not all of a sudden you get a grant approval, and then you're like, crap, we have to pay for the next 25%. What do we do? It's always budgeting forward, right? The city of Hillsboro, correct me if I'm wrong, budget is on a calendar basis, January to December, correct? Okay. And budgets have to be, again, making sure budgets are due by October or whatever that date is, right? Okay. Okay. So from a county standpoint, ours are a little bit earlier than that. We got to have everything into our auditor's office by June. And then our commissions go from there, and they cut steel, rob Peter to pay Paul, all that fun stuff up until the deadline of when that has to be done. So I always budget, when I do mine, I always budget for higher amounts in preliminary budget discussions, and then I receive those approval or denials, and then we proceed with the budget adjustments from there. So we always go high, and then we cut it down low. So for instance, and I gave you some examples there, I submitted grants for 1.2 million, and I break it down. So 750,000 would be 100%, 150, 85, etc. Once we get those approval denials, then we update the budget from there. I usually have a portfolio holder that I deal with, and can direct those questions and stuff too, and then we visit on a monthly basis, usually with the commission anyways. So that's what I do in my job. I wanted to know a couple of things. Is this something that you guys would like to see moving forward? Is this something you want me to participate in? Is this something you want to work with me on? The first question there is, do you want me to proceed with working towards these grants? My fee would remain the same. It's $2,500 upon grant approval. So once we get the grant approved, it's $2,500 bucks. That's flat for every grant, whether it's $500,000, $200,000, $1,000 bucks. That fee also includes me managing the grant, all those grant reporting, all the reimbursement requests. As long as Casey and Sarah are always willing to help me out with some of that stuff, it'd be awesome. Second question then is, do you want me to approach the commission before we start working towards different grants? Meaning, do you want, hey, this is a grant that's out there, can we apply for it? Or do you want me to come back and say, hey, we applied for this grant, we'll see if we get it, is basically it. And then my other question there is, what are your expectations as a commission regarding reporting? For example, do you want to report from a single commissioner portfolio holder like I think you do now? Do you want this to come to a full meeting? Do you want specific reports from me? What do you want? What do you need? How can I make your lives better? I guess is that question. So those are my three questions, and then we can get into some of the action items that I had here in a second. I'll stand for any questions.
Nicole, I know you have questions.
Page, so I
I think
a couple pages
I had to
too.
go back to all the numbers and the dates and the
the
stuff.
paper one only got the front, I think.
Yeah, I didn't,
I
was looking at
asked Casey if she wanted me to print copies, and she said no.
It's okay, it's just a page. So, just to kind of recap briefly, 2022, request for 12.5, moved to 2023, we added to that list.
Yep.
That was a little short, so now it's 160,000.
No, so we had applied for, originally when we did the 22 grant, we applied for well over 40,000, and we
Okay.
only got approval for 12.5.
Okay.
So we can only go to that 12.5. The 23 grant, we applied for 160, we only got 28.5 back.
28.5?
Yep.
Okay. So you're saying moving forward to 24, to request what we didn't get approved for 23?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good common practice that we see a lot in the granting business anyways, is we always see that, hey, we didn't get this before, let's look back and see what we didn't get. The other side of that is there's some other grants out there that I think are maybe a little bit more applicable to what you guys are looking for, such as the physical security stuff. That's more applicable to the state homeland security funding. It's a separate grant period through the same agency, but just a separate grant. So I think we would move a lot of that stuff over there, which we've had better luck with our security things in that homeland security grant itself versus the cybersecurity grant.
Okay, so that's roughly $40,000. So what does that cover for just the server replacement and?
Right now, it's a server replacement. We haven't submitted the scope change for the 2022 project.
Okay.
So Joe and I are working on what that. Everything's about. I like to say, especially with FEMA, it's all about FEMA speak. It's all about what the word of the day is for FEMA at that point. So we got to figure out what that is, what that looks like. I know that FEMA doesn't look at anything before Christmas, and they don't look at anything after Christmas, and it's not usually until about the middle of February when they finally start looking at stuff. So we try to get our requests in as early as we can, but knowing that there's just those deadlines too, that they just don't look at things. So we'll work on the wording here this week. We'll get it submitted before Christmas for what that scope of work needs to be based off of your guys' comments from your last meeting. That you discussed this at least, I think it was back in September, and then we'll move forward from there. Providing that the scope of work gets approved, we'll move into doing those things as the grant dictates. If the scope of work doesn't get approved, then we'll have to look at some different things and what that may look like, whether it's some wireless access points or anything else that deals with specifically the hardware side of the cybersecurity grant.
So 22 would be 625, City of Hillsboro. 23 would be the 440375.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you're saying 24 would be 100%?
No, so 24 is a whole different grant. So it's just,
Right.
yeah. So the 2024 State Homeland Security Grant, that is different from the cybersecurity grant.
Okay.
So those have been in the past for the last 20 some odd years at 100% reimbursable. We are expecting that to continue. We haven't heard anything from our folks in the federal government yet saying that it isn't. It'd be a very, very big problem if that wasn't at 100%. So we don't anticipate that going away. But yes, that would be at 100% reimbursable.
Are those usually pretty successful at full amount
Yeah.
approvals?
Yes. We've accompanying the grant, we've done some reporting stuff and some things on the back end, and I think we can kind of get into that a little bit to give you the full picture. One of the things is a Department of Homeland Security vulnerability assessment. So they actually come in and they say, here are our recommendations to you guys of what would be better to harden your critical infrastructure here in the city, whether that's cameras, access control points, better doors, better windows, bollards out in front of a door, those sort of things. They put that into they come, they visit, they spend about a half a day with the employees, with a couple of the commissioners, asking basically what keeps you up at night here in this job, 8 hours a day, 48 hours a week. What keeps you up? Do you feel safe? If you don't feel safe, would there any dollar amount fix that? What dollar amount would that be? What would you fix, sort of thing? That all gets compiled into a report, and then that comes to the commission for you guys to review, to look at, all those sorts of things. And then we use that report and we submit that for our Homeland Security grants, and we've been very successful. I haven't been to miss a grant. I've gotten just over $1.5 million on that grant alone in the last 3 years.
So you have on, I think it's page 4, kind of a breakdown of the submitting of the grants. If we have gotten 40,000 out of 160,000 approved, we have 120,000 less, but here it says 200,000, 50% reimbursable applied for. So does it matter on the amount for the reimbursement?
No, so I think maybe that's a little bit confusing. That's just my example on page 4 of how my grant stuff works. That's all that is. So
All right.
on the grant specifically, it doesn't matter
So it
what
is
you apply for.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm good.
Any other questions? So then the first question would be, do we want Ben to proceed with the state Homeland Security grant?
I believe we should.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve that?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved by Dave, seconded by Nicole. Any other discussion? Paul?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carries.
So just so you guys are aware, that would more than likely be a 2025 implementation period. So just because of the way the deadlines work for that grant, those usually come out April, May, sometimes earlier, sometimes a little bit later. We usually see those awards in September, October, and understanding that unless it's something really super easy that they just got to run a line to and can do real fast, it's more than likely a summer project, and it's more than likely going to be over that time frame. So it'll be for 2025's budgetary stuff when you guys are doing your thinking on that.
And then the second question you had for us is, I think, I'm guessing on this one, if there is a grant that you think would be applicable, then he would approach us, and then who does he want to approach? Do you want him to approach one commissioner or the whole commission?
How often would that
Probably
be?
say
The grants that we tend to look out for, the two biggest ones are this state Homeland Security dollar one in that April-May timeframe, and then the other one is that cybersecurity grant. And that's usually that September, October is when that starts. So those are the two big ones. There are random ones that pop up every now and then, Paul, honestly, that, some of them are state, some of them are federal, and some of them are, hey, we have a week to apply. There's leftover dollars from the federal side. And those are usually pretty fast turnaround ones. Truthfully, up to you guys how you want to proceed with that. If you want me to come and ask every time, that's completely fine with me. I just didn't want to assume something and then have it go differently. That's all.
So some of them are pretty time sensitive as far as so
Some
we
of
might
them-
not, because if you have to know in a week, we might not be meeting.
Right.
That one.
Sometimes it's easy to just talk to one person and say, hey, I'm doing this, or this came up. Do you think this would be okay? Type of thing.
Well, I feel you should just talk to our auditor or the office, let her know, and she knows how to get a hold of everybody, and I think that'd be a good start of a communications line. That's my opinion, and whatever you guys think.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go with that.
I think the last one is more of a what are your expectations from me as we move forward with our relationship? Do you want specific reports? Do you want me to stop in every once in a while, say hi, this is Ben, we're doing this, or do you want something more formal?
If you stop and see us once a year, I think we'll be happy.
Okay.
And if you communicate with Casey at the office, I think that probably will work out.
Okay.
And I assume everybody would like the cybersecurity vulnerability assessment completed.
So I don't know if you were able to all look through that or not, but what we'll do then, if you guys are okay with this, is we'll talk to, I have contacts in the state and in the federal government through Homeland Security. They do that security and vulnerability assessment. It's completely free. They get that report, they bring that to you guys. The only thing that I'll caution you guys on, and your attorney can speak more to that from a confidential meeting standpoint, there was a note that I put in there too. Those reports are confidential underneath state law and underneath the sunshine laws, underneath FOIA, it's all confidential. So if you were planning on speaking about those in like a public meeting like this, I would strongly encourage you to go into executive session and discuss those reports in an executive session. I'm not an attorney, I can't tell you specifically. This is what we use, and our state's attorney has blessed this from both counties. So that's what we've used when we've gone into and talked about those reports. But that's that's completely up to you guys. If you guys say, no, everybody needs to know about this, that's your guys' decision too. So what will likely happen is once we'll work with through Casey's office, once that appointment or that time frame gets set up, a person or a couple people will come out, they'll meet with Casey and Sarah and anybody else who wants to be involved in that. They'll walk through the places that you want them to walk through, concerns that you guys are concerned about. They'll take about 30 days, develop a report, send it back to probably one person, in this case more than likely Casey, and then she'll have that ability and authority from you guys to disperse that however you see wish, whether it's discussion in an open meeting or closed session. So, just wanted to make that point. The other thing then is the request to the CMA from ITD. So that's the cyber maturity assessment. It's basically a self-assessment form. So the ITD will schedule some time. They'll send you out a secure link. You guys will complete that cyber maturity assessment, and that will generate the same process. It's somebody will be in contact with your offices. They'll talk to you guys through about what they see, what they felt, and then they'll give you a report from there. Again, those are all confidential underneath sunshine laws and FOIA and all that fun stuff. And number 3 on there is the exact same as number 1. I don't know why I listed that twice. So.
That's all right. It's a Monday.
It was important enough to repeat.
Yeah, I think I was thinking about something, and that's what happened.
So unless anybody has an objection, we won't necessarily take a motion on it, and we'll move forward on both of those.
So Casey, if you're cool with it, what I'll do is I'll make sure I include you in all those emails and contacts, and I'll probably contact you moving forward. Awesome. So the last thing I have in there just for you guys is my invoice for the 2023 cyber grant of $2,500 since that was approved. So.
And that'll go on the first bill in next month. Because I didn't see it on this one, right? So it'll be on next month.
Perfect. I didn't know if you had money you were trying to spend by the end of the year or not, so wanted to make sure you guys saw it. Just the last. I understand. If I can make one comment on the oh my goodness, the ergonomic stuff that you were talking about. North Dakota Association of Counties has a deal with workforce safety that they do. They give away free stuff annually. I don't know if League of Cities has the same program or not.
Yep, that's the same one.
Oh, okay. Okay. Awesome. That was it.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is the internal control memo, and I think everybody had time to look at that. And so unless there's any questions for Casey on it, I'd entertain a motion to approve and implement. Paul makes the motion. Is there a second? Second by Dave. Any other discussion? Jason?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carries. New sign. We just need to sign the sign agreement, and then we would write half the check for it. Like I said, we did get 3,000 so we are 7,000 to come up with. But this agreement and then to sign the check would be so that we can move forward with it, or we can pay it like credit card as well too. But this is to get the process started so they can build and do all that. I have applied for another 2,500, and there's a BNSF grant as well that I'm still working on to get some other funds. So currently last meeting we were at 10,000, now we're at 7,000, so we're working our way down. So if you're okay with that, do I have a motion to approve of me signing for the grant and then putting the deposit down on the sign?
I'll make the motion.
Dave makes the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Paul. Is there any other discussion? Jason?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carries. And then hopefully we'd be able to get this in sometime in summer, early spring, summer. Next item of business is the website renewal and then the ADA compliance on it.
Excuse me, Andrew from Catalyst contacted the office last week regarding the website renewal. If you guys would like to keep your website as is, the price won't change for a 3-year period. And this is what we paid last year. Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, okay? $3,883 is the cost per year if you want to keep the website exactly the same as is. The ADA piece ties in with it a little bit if you guys want to do a redesign with your website to be ADA compliant. Right now, your website is not. To my knowledge, I don't believe North Dakota requires an ADA compliant website. But apparently they're seeing quite a few cities go that route. If you do want to do a redesign, I listed the prices in an email to you earlier. I gotta see if I can find it. It was 4,000 and some for year one, and then it goes up 6% every year after then, if you want the redesign. So that's what I know on that. And you don't have to choose to do a redesign right now. If you guys decide later down the road, if you do want to do a redesign, they're able to do that, but you'll have to pay for the redesign fee.
So it can stay as is, or if we add in the ADA, they would revamp it. Otherwise, if we decide to revamp it later, there's a cost at that time, because it's not during the renewal, I'm assuming? Okay.
This ADA thing is always interesting conversation.
Which I think we almost have to go ADA compliant. It's coming down the pipe, or it is down the pipe. There's been some places I know that have gotten dinged on it, especially schools.
I took a webinar from ADA earlier this year, and it was quite surprising how much is ADA, like how much you need of it. So I have a feeling it's coming.
So if you're any other discussion on it, like I said, I think we should bite the bullet and start ahead of time. It's probably cheaper to do it now than in the future, because every picture has to have words on it, color schemes, certain things on it.
There's a lot to ADA. It's like not just physical, it's mental too.
Yeah. And that's them redoing the website to make it ADA, not you guys, correct? So if there is no other questions, do I have a motion to, one, approve our contract again for the website, if you want to move forward with them, and then if you would like to add in the ADA compliance. And that would come out of general.
What was the price on that again?
The price
ADA, the ADA part. I know you said it increased.
I included it in an email that
Yeah,
I sent last
I-
to you guys. I can't remember it.
You don't know what day or anything?
Yeah, it was Thursday or Friday that I sent it. I can't remember. I mean, Tuesday.
Year 1 is $49.95. Year 2 is $52.94. Year 3 is $56.11. Year 4 is $59.47.
Did they happen to mention why the 6% increase by chance?
I'm not sure. When I was working with the city of Harwood, this same website did have Harwood Business, and that was a change that they made pretty drastically for a lot of communities, where they set their pricing like 10% higher every year.
Okay.
So it's not uncommon for catalysts.
Okay, okay.
So the difference would be from $38.84 to $49.95 the first year, and then 6% every year thereafter. Which in ADA compliance, that's pretty reasonable. I think the school pays double that.
You said 38.83 to 49.
To 49, yep. So about 2,000. 18. It doesn't. I assume that they make it the highest compliance.
I would think whatever's current, yeah.
Do I have a motion? Nicole? Paul?
Wait to see what
Dave.
your thoughts are. I'm okay with it.
Dave? Your thoughts?
Well, we kinda got our hands tied here if we're gonna do this ADA. You know,
Right. It's one of those things that you have to have, unfortunately. Paul?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Dave, seconded by Nicole to move forward with Catalyst and do the ADA compliance. Any other discussion? Paul?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
And a yes for me. The next item, I just want some clarification from you guys on the sidewalk. We already have the ordinance in, but I had few people that have said a few things, so I just want to make sure how we want to go forward with it. On the sidewalks, if you don't remember, from basically the Dakota Heritage Bank or the old Wells Fargo Bank all the way to the school, the sidewalks are supposed to be cleared along with on Main and First, any of the business district. And there's been a few businesses that have not done that, and we have the ability to then clean those and then charge for those if they're not done in a X amount of time. In the past, we have sent letters to remind them that they need to clean the sidewalks. Is that something you want to do first, or are we just going to push through and clean them for them and then charge?
I think just a notice to the beginning, let them just remind them
Okay.
and see where that goes.
So I'll work with Sarah and Abby and get those letters sent out to the ones that need to.
Those will just go to the ones that you're having issues with, or what?
Just the ones that we have issues with. I'm guessing you had the letter from before, is why I'm saying Sarah. Maybe, maybe not. Oh, don't worry, it's nothing hard.
Oh, while we're on the subject of snow, I'm just gonna ask a question. Was the front door of the city hall cleaned out the last storm we had? It wasn't? Yeah, the front, I drove by her and I saw the sidewalk was plowed, but and that is supposed to be part of Wayne's job, right? Okay. Okay, do you have any objections that I talk the
No.
snow and make sure, because I noticed the helipad wasn't cleaned off for a while either, so
I don't. Anybody else have objections to that?
I'll just give him a call and remind him that he's gotta keep. Yeah.
There was nothing cleared in front of here either.
Okay, well, I'll mention it to him that we want that done and. Okay. Okay, I'll mention it to him.
And then I had a resident that asked about the caboose. They had seen kids and individuals in there now a couple times. The last time they were with bats trying to break things on the inside, so. Yeah, the ones up top have been broken for a while, but
Yeah,
I don't know if. Oh, I didn't notice those. Busted out. Which we're not gonna stop those, but, so, what would you guys like to do to get that issue resolved? Just get it locked up?
well, I chained both the doors and then they figured out how to get the north door open, so.
That might be a little drastic.
I think if we could drill through and put some kind of loop in that door and we could reuse that chain that's over there and put an existing, but Jim, is that something that one of the guys could run down and put a loop on there and then just restring that chain? Is that work? Okay, I'll find it.
Okay. If not, Paul will remember on Monday.
Good luck with that.
Won't be there Monday, Paul.
You won't?
You won't be gone every Monday.
Text me and remind me, okay?
Next item is we have a contract, which is, you guys have, is for the I-29 project. As long as I just need your blessing to sign off on these. And JR has looked at them according to,
Yeah, I did. We already kind of approved this when we submitted or made the bid, so it's just approving it again so we can actually sign it now.
I'll make the motion regarding that.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Properly moved and seconded by Dave. And vote. Paul,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
and a yes for me. Motion carries. Today is the 18th. All right, the next item is the rates. So there's two sheets, or several sheets. The first one is the rate sheet. I did update that with some of the thoughts. And when we do it, we would vote to approve this with any changes. So if you have any changes, we'll make it on this and then we'd finalize it. No. No. Oh, 9 cents, not 90. Yes. You're correct. I forgot a zero. Sorry. We might.
We'll get caught up quick.
In case he did a lot of work, you can see, let's do garbage first because I think that'll be the easiest. She did a couple options, and Dave, you can talk on this too, but we looked, what I had mentioned to her was on the top one, which one is it? Oh, that's page 2, sorry. The first sheet was no change, no difference in residential and commercial, and the options 4, 5, and 6 would be if we did that, where we change the commercial instead of having them the same. And so the one that I had put on the sheet was, which I missed a 5 in that, would have been option number 4. So $41 a yard for commercial, or $20.50. A tote, $7.75 for recycling, and $3 for a second recycling. Thoughts on that?
So commercially of totes, does that mean if you're getting currently charged per yard, you can change to a tote instead?
Because some have a tote, some don't have a tote.
Right, so can you change to one, like from the yard to the tote?
I would assume so.
Okay. I wouldn't think so, but just in case.
Sorry, Paul.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to really look at it real close, so
You might need a
Dave and
tote.
them have, so, huh?
You might want a tote instead.
Oh, I don't know what I'll do. I'll just complain. It's easier, so.
I'll
Right.
second that.
It's easier to complain, isn't it, Sarah? It's easier just for me to complain than to pay it, to get a quote. I'd be concerned about all the people putting garbage in my dumpster. They wouldn't have room anymore.
Right.
It's fact. I
Right.
don't know. I haven't found any letters with JR's name on, so he's safe. So.
And I personally, this is just my personal opinion on this. I don't know if you guys want to change it off just to make it easier in the office. Is if, let's say, Paul has a 4-yard dumpster, Paul pays for a 4-yard dumpster. If he shares it with anybody, they have to pay him, not the office should be the one splitting it up. Because I think then when businesses change hands and
Right.
things get closed, I think that's when things get confused.
Well, even on the waste management bill, they'll list out every single container that's at those individual businesses. But some of them may have documented that they know share with other businesses. Other ones still have old business names on that bill. And until somebody goes around, and does an audit of what everybody has and who shares, the books aren't completely accurate.
I went around my block and audited it. Sure did.
Is that what you guys would prefer to do? So then, if the office would then send out a letter just to all the commercial businesses stating that wherever the dumpster, whoever property it's on, is the person that would be charged. And they would need to work it out with their businesses that share it. The 3 that are in are all cardboard. There's 4. Yeah.
Who all uses those? How about the new vet? What's the vet doing? dentist, I think I see them carrying stuff out there. Do they get charged now, garbage? Well, they're new, so.
So if nobody claims it, then we'd move, I think then we'd have to move it.
But City Hall paying the whole thing right now, or does? Is there any charges on the cardboard ones? Those are just,
We don't bill for them. We don't bill for the cardboard ones.
My thought, and Dave, I think this is what it was, is what if I remember right, they said the cardboard was basically free, or they threw that in because they were able to make money off of it. Well, and there's 2 out here that never get dumped, so maybe we need to. So maybe we should move the dumpster over here and then figure it out. They need to figure it out. I'll let you guys figure it out.
if you take the dumpster away, you'll find out who's using it.
Yep. It's on city property, so. Yep. And if we want a smaller dumpster, maybe Paul doesn't want a 2-yard dumpster.
Switch to the totes, man.
Has Waste Management given us an explanation of each container and who's being charged, and is it just gray?
They charge, so if we have 15 containers, they charge us for 15 containers. They may say where they're at, they may not say where they're at. Same thing with the totes. There's 666 totes that they pick up every week.
The bill that we get, it's a lump sum, that has, like Levi said, it lists out how many totes they'll pick up, but it's a lump sum that includes all the residential waste and the commercial waste and the residential recycling. So recycling is listed out a little bit separately, but as far as
And maybe, my understanding was the reason they have the big containers is for ease for them. It's easier for them to unload those than, so then shouldn't they be explaining why they're having, why that's there and who gets it instead of us? That's just my thought. Then why doesn't everybody go to a tote?
Right.
Olson's pull out totes,
Yeah,
Right.
that's right, I was wrong. Olson's do have totes.
you know, so why can't the dentist or the vet clinic and,
Yeah, I don't know, it just seems like,
And maybe it was just because they shared in the past, so that's what they went
yeah,
with. I
and it's
don't
like
know.
they're deciding that they want to have that big thing there because it's easier for them. But they're not going to decide who's dumping in there or who gets charged for them.
and to me, it's
Right.
just if we're getting charged X amount of dollars for that dumpster, who's paying it, who's paying for that? That's all I really care about.
Right. And I
So
think
if we got that dumpster and it's $100, whatever, and we got 10 people using it, as long as everybody's paying $10, I don't care what they put in. But I think we
It's
need to
full, it's
clarify.
full.
Well, I think what's going on is some let's say there might be a 6-yard dumpster and there's 5 businesses. Well, maybe the city's they're paying the city for maybe 1 or 2, and then one is using 6 yards and the rest are getting half a yard or nothing. So that's where it's getting.
Yeah.
Or you could have a 6, and then you got people paying more than what it's worth too. You have that
Right,
opposite
and that's
side.
the other thing, so. Basically that wherever they're dumping their garbage, wherever that dumpster is, whoever's property on, that is the business that would get charged. Anybody else would be not charged, and you would need to talk to that. And those businesses that have a dumpster on it would be charged the full price of whatever their dumpster is. So if the banner has a 4-yard dumpster, they would be charged 4 times $41. or if Paul has a 2-yard dumpster, so he'll be charged $82. Because currently what people are charged is a business would be charged $18.75 times 2.
Yeah, we have, I know for a fact 12, maybe 15 businesses on one block dumping all in one bin, all of us. And some are getting charged $18.75 and some are getting charged $75. So it's like $300 and some dollars at least every 2 weeks or something for one dump.
Yeah, we're still
For one
not
bin.
making money on this. Not even breaking even.
Isn't that crazy?
Can you just clarify, maybe I missed this, why the quantity on options 1, 2, and 3 is 1,108, and the quantity over on the other side is 646?
This is that, yep. I was looking at the bill there, just that.
Where are you seeing that, Paul?
It's commercial
Well-
versus residential.
Oh,
If you add
okay,
the commercial residential together, it
Yep.
works out.
646 versus
Okay.
640, oh, yep.
okay.
Because there's 646 toters, there's 462 cubic yards of total dumpsters.
Of commercial, yep.
Well, it's just how you're charging it now, so.
Yep,
Right.
so how it's broken down on the price differential is there's, in the Banyan billing software, we are charging for 646 residential totes. We are also charging for 462 commercial yards. So that's how I did the math for that. Yep, because right now we've got 100 and some commercial addresses or commercial business names in Banyan, that we're charging to, and it varies on how many yards they have. It comes up to 462 yards that we're charging commercial.
That's what you're charging, or that's what they're charging us?
That's what we're charging currently.
Okay.
I did request a Excel spreadsheet. I should have sent that over for tonight. I can go and transfer it, but if you guys would- but what I've had to do is take their spreadsheet for what they have documented on how many, yards, you know, how many bins everybody's having, and figuring out if it matches with our records. It's fairly close, but there is a few concerns. It's not nearly like recycling. But yeah, there's a
Good.
couple areas that need to be audited.
And the option 1, or option 4, the reason that I'm suggesting we should go with that is we're not transferring out. We're trying to make this self-sufficient within itself. This line item is not,
I don't support transferring any money in, so.
so this would make it whole, and then by the time that we're whole, we could reevaluate in a year and see where we're at. We may be able to go down.
Just as a point of clarification, so to answer Nicole's question, if someone was to, is a commercial business able to use a tote, and will they be charged the 20 and a half then? Because it's
Correct.
just basically 20 and a half per half yard.
Correct.
Okay.
And then they would update the count for that total amount each year.
Yep, yep.
Is everybody preliminary agreeable to that? We were talking about garbage, Jason, and the recommendation that I made was to go with option 4, which would put the commercial
Towards the end of your back, way in the back.
at twice what the residential is, or the residential is basically 20 and a half. If a commercial decide to use a tote, they would pay the 20 and a half. And recycling would be $7.75. And a second recycling would be $3. I know there's a few commercial businesses that do recycling,
They
not a
did more than
ton.
that. So we got them.
Is everybody okay with leaving that? That's probably the biggest change.
I'm good with it. I think it works.
Okay.
It's
So-
like anybody wanted to use sales tax, they'd rather use something that would take care of its own.
So then the next one that we'd look at is electrical. And Casey had made some adjustments on that, and then what's on the rate sheet was a little different, but it's pretty close. It's basically option 2. The one thing that I had changed was I raised the commercial up a little bit to 9 cents or 90 cents. That's supposed to be 9 cents. But then we dropped the meter fee to the same as a commercial for residential. So the meter would be the same. So meter would be $20 instead of, I think currently we're at 18 and 42. 16 and 42. So they'd both be 20. The connect fee would be 150. I think we were at 100 now.
I think, yeah, I think Sarah's reconnect 100.
So we'd moved that up just because it's costing us more. Then the deposits are also there. The other thing that's put on this is $3,500 for a new connection fee to help cover those costs, but could be paid over 36 months. And then commercial would be 50% of the total cost. And then I put the load control, that's supposed to be 1 of 24, not 0, 1 of 24. Hopefully if we get those in by then, you think, Paul?
I'm hoping.
Thoughts on the commercial side? Or on the electrical side?
Levi, did you, how did you come up with the 50% split on the commercial new connection?
Just based on what I've heard we've done in the past, but have we done anything different than that?
In the past, the new connection was always paid for. It was just upgrades or changes that we split. But, no, I'm not opposed to it. I'm just curious where you came out. I'm curious what
And maybe I assumed it
other
was.
utilities or municipalities charge for that.
This is the 3,500 for sure is what other
yeah,
utilities have
and we
used.
talked about that before, about resident, what the
Yeah.
cost of that has become.
The commercial side, we haven't talked about that.
Okay. And that's so hit and miss too. You could have one that spends 5 and you could have one that spends 150,000, so.
Right. Where the
Um,
residential is pretty standard, it's going to be the
yeah.
same every time.
The commercial and residential meter charge, and in the past, the reason commercial was higher was to cover the cost of that install. But now we're covering that with the new connection charges.
Right.
Those are the two things that caught my eye. And the other thing would be the non-resident rate. You might get a little feedback from that. And we tried to implement that non-resident charge years ago. You know, we lost 2 residents, and there was the room was full, put it that way. Just be careful with that one, I think. They do not, if we do improvements, there is no way to get supplemented from them, and that is a way to do it. I just might get some feedback on that one.
Right.
So,
Which I get that.
yeah.
It was either that or do you charge a higher connection fee?
But I think it's time for the connection fee, definitely. That's, yeah, we spend a lot of money on
And these would be implemented whatever date, so it wouldn't be, you know, if you set it as tomorrow, then goes into effect tomorrow. If you set it as, I would hope you'd make it whatever day Sarah says for utility changes, so that it makes it very easy for her next billing cycle. So next Wednesday, or this Wednesday. So I would hope to go in effect on the 20th. But the cutoff is the 20th. Thoughts on electrical? And I realize that it is quite a bit high, or higher. I did go through and see what I would pay differently, and what I've seen over 3 months, or the last 3 months, I'd see about 15%. I don't have electric heat, so those that have electric heat may see different, because we're getting into the heating season, but on average you'd see, I would, on a residential side, probably right around that 15% total for electrical and garbage and recycling. What were you gonna say, Paul?
Yeah, I don't think it should go up that much in one shot, but I think that's a pretty steep jump, especially on off-peak. You know, because we're quite a bit less, so that's my feeling. I don't think it should go up that fast. We have a rate study coming up. I could see making a small increase to, you know, and then wait and see with the electrical study. I'm not sure when they're looking at getting that done. You know, obviously next year, but when, we don't know. But I would just like to see some comments from Missouri River on some things that maybe we could change or do differently. I just would like their opinion to go before I went that high.
I agree.
Currently, residential's at 82 cents, and commercial's at 75. So residential would see if you went up to 10 cents per kilowatt, be a 1.8. Which, if you wanted dollars and cents on my bill, it's $30 a month. No, total. Yep. As of right now on this. So if you don't want to see that, Paul, then what is your recommendation?
I could see possibly going up a penny, which would be 9.2. That's just because we got a lot of things we got to get done. So, you know, I think that's a happy medium. It's not, you know, it's 0.8 less than what you're asking for, which isn't drastic, but. And I don't even, the off-peak, I've got other concerns about the off-peak, so that I'm not quite as concerned about. But you may have people that are on electric heat that, you know.
But on the same aspect, we can't expect the rest of the residents to cover somebody's electric heat, because we're going to move up because we're not making money on it.
So by saying off-peak, you're talking dual heat, right?
Dual heat.
Yeah.
Which means they should have another source to heat their home. So we have 92 cents, or 9.2 cents for, what would you say on the commercials, up $1 or $1 cent?
Well, if you also are changing the per month fee there too, so I guess I'm not really sure how that figures in there. I haven't really looked at that.
So we're at 7.5, so that'd be 8.5. So if you went up to 9 cents, oh, we're at the same. Or 8.8, 8.7.
Well, could we just go a penny on that too and just go 8.5?
Do you want to change the meter fee back then to 42?
Yeah, I'm not sure how everybody's paying that, so I don't see an issue with it. But depends on how much you use, I guess, and where you're
Like
gonna
I
end up
said,
there. I'm
what
not sure.
you're going to see is on the smaller businesses that aren't using as much, they'll see probably decrease. Those that are paying more for electricity or using more electricity will see a little bit more increase. We're in the black. Based on what Casey had put together, these rates would cover traditionally what we've done in the past in the moves. Now you have to remember the other thing that we haven't done in a few years is taken money out of electrical to cover other costs. We haven't moved those out. And traditionally in the past, we moved $300,000 to $500,000 out to cover other parts of the cities. And if you're wondering why our sewer, why our everything else is in the red, is because we didn't move out and change those. And if you look in a few minutes, we'll go over the other one. I mean, we're proposing transfers of over $1 million to cover these deficits over the last few years. I will say I've pushed for several years that we needed to increase rates. It doesn't mean that we always went for it. It's been a while since we've moved.
I don't think we've really increased electric except for what we've been increased from
Correct.
Missouri. I don't think we've done anything over and above to help cover our costs.
So 8.5 is what you're thinking, Paul?
On the
On the
commercial?
commercial?
Yeah.
And are we are non-residents paying more?
I don't really care on that one way or another. I don't see why they can't pay the same we are, so.
It's a yes, I just need to know, so when,
Well, I don't know. Is there a reason why we wouldn't have them pay the same we do, or?
in the past, they came in and complained, but generally, they're not paying property taxes that help cover some of the expenses. Part of Jim's salary, part of. Right.
Never really had a per se electric project that we can do specials, but we may in the future, so. And everything else, we've had, been able to charge specials, and that doesn't include them.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be half a cent. It could be 2 cents. It could be whatever. But I just need recommendations, what you guys want to do.
You guys have any ideas on it, on the non-resident?
And we probably have 10. Is there 10?
And those are they're non-commercial accounts.
Right. I don't think we have any commercial
We
that
don't
are,
have any commercial accounts. So it would just be the residents on west of town and just on the east side of town, which are still in our jurisdiction.
And what are they currently paying?
the same.
Same.
It's one way to help get them to annex into the city so that we get that tax revenue as well. I mean, we have residents that are inside city limits that are not in city limits.
Electric was last changed in December of 2017.
Thank you, JR.
Yep.
So we'll .092 for residential, .095 for non-resident, .085 for commercial, .07
Are you,
off-peak.
what'd you say for residential, non-resident?
.092 for resident, .095 for non-resident, .085 commercial. .75 for off-peak. Or 075 for off-peak. Meter fees of 20 and 20, reconnect 150, deposit 150, commercial deposits 250, 3,500 for new connection fee. Unmetered lights would be $10, and load control, and that'd be after 10/1 of 24. Does that sound okay? Not okay?
What's it gonna affect on that? We're going to $20 on commercial for the monthly fee. That gonna take a, I know we're raising the rate up, but if we're losing down, if we're lower that,
How many? Commercial. So it'd be 132 times 22 per month. Did I do that right?
29, just over 2,900.
Levi, I didn't hear a non-resident to off-peak.
Oh.
I'm guessing there was some.
.08, which would be a half cent higher than,
Sure. Yep.
or I guess we went 3 cents higher, so it'd be .78. Thoughts, changes?
I don't want to elongate things, but we maybe someday have a discussion on the unmetered streetlight. We can leave that charge now, but we need to discuss that at one point in the future.
Of unmetered?
Yeah, because of the maintenance of them. Does that include maintenance, or is that just what it costs? And
It should be their cost if they're, wouldn't it?
I would assume so. But
What's
it
an
hasn't been in
example
the
of an
past.
unmetered,
It always has, it hasn't always been in the past.
what's an example of an unmetered streetlight?
For exa-
Trailer court,
Trailer court, okay.
Has streetlights in there. That would be my assumption.
yeah. And there
When
goes-
I grew up on or what I pay on our farm
yeah.
for utility pole light is $10 or $12. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And we have to cover the light. It's just
Okay, I know, but some of them include maintenance, and there used to be a lot of lights in the alleys, Paul, and now with LEDs and pack lights you can put on your garage, we've tried to get away from it, so. But I'm guessing each,
Is the trailer park the
Provider
only
does.
place that we have it?
I'm sorry?
Is the trailer park the only place that we have unmetered street?
No, there's a couple more.
But I think we should get away from it.
Well, yeah, but, and we still get calls, where you're gonna come fix the lights, it's a trailer court. So, and we tried, I think when the previous owner had it, we quit doing it because we weren't getting paid for it,
Right.
you know, so. It was just maybe something we should set up a policy for, so that we follow the policy. Yeah. I haven't seen an old one, and we need to dig it out if there is one.
Unmaintained.
Unmaintained?
Unmaintained. $10 per light. Unmaintained.
Okay. Perfect.
So then, Jim, you say you're okay with the meter fee going down to 20 for commercial? Or what's your thoughts on that?
That's, yeah, as long as we have a cost for them coming in and wanting a brand new service, you know, we put in 2 huge services in the last 5, 6 years, and it didn't cost them anything. And, you know, I think the percentage is good. I don't know what it should be. You know, I have some historical costs, but
And we can, the thing with this is we can always change it if
Yeah,
we need
yeah.
to.
it's just that the cost of everything has gotten just unreal. It's just, we're losing a lot of money that way, so.
And
I think what I'm looking at is this'll get us time until we get our rate study done.
Right.
And then this might all be changed. It may be increasing. But I think that's the important thing to know is that they're gonna give us recommendations to look at, and then we might be changing things again because.
I think we all know that because of the cost of things and where we're sitting, we need more revenue, so.
because on a new home connection, I think, what did I tell you, it was 67,000 based on wire and stuff, and Jim was kind of surprised, like, that's what it's costing
I
us.
think it was about 5, wasn't it? But that didn't, I don't know if that included even the transformer
No, that was just the wire and the
Yeah.
install.
and the trenching and the.
Because they'll give us all that information and they'll spread it out so it's easy to understand. And so I'm kind of looking forward to seeing that.
So then, do you think we should adjust the meter fee then, or just wait until?
I
we get this-
I like that. That's probably good in that way. Like Levi said, the small user isn't helping pay for the large user. Is more, they're paying more because they use more electricity. So everybody pays the same, which, you know, would be more of a, again, think of the word, the office work, the paperwork,
Replacement of the meter, because the meter's gonna cost the same.
yeah, and reading the meter, so, yeah.
Any other changes on electrical? Okay. On water, I'll take off the commercial size, so it'll be just 4250, because I don't think we should change anything on water or sewer at this point. The bulk water has been in there, it just never was written down. And the connection hookup fee, are we at 50? I think I went up to 100. If I remember right. Sarah, does that sound right? we're at 50 for a reconnect on water. So that went up to 100 just because those costs are going up as well.
Or are these gonna, so these were adjusted before for helping with our deficit, right? Or
These
not?
were
Or is that
adjusted.
just for the sewer.
We went up to $2.50 on each a year ago to help pay for the water project. This doesn't affect the deficit at all, which we're starting to see the water is coming around, I think, better, if I remember right. Yes. Actually in the red and water, so, or in the black, I mean. The landfill rates, those are the same. The rental rates, I believe, are the same. The cemetery rates, I did go up on those. I think I went up $50 each on those, except for the cremation, I went up 25. Or no, I went up 100. That's what it was. Just because we haven't changed those rates in a while either. I went up 25 on each. Because I think we were at 275, right? So I went up 25 on everything. Yep. 5. Yep. So it's $300 per lot, and then to add or have 2 cremations, an extra $100. Or if you have a lot and you want to add cremations on top, that's $100. And a non-resident is $600 and $700. Is everybody okay with those changes, and would you like, or any other changes you'd like made? If not, do I have a motion to approve the rate sheet with those changes? I can clarify anything that we have so far.
I'll make a motion.
Paul makes the motion. Is there a second?
I know we don't have any, I think you said, but did you have a rate for the commercial non-resident? Did we discuss that?
You said we didn't have any, right?
We don't have any, but I put it at,
It says 0.9 or 0.95 on the sheet. I didn't know if that would.
no, it'd be 0.088.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Moved by Paul, seconded by Dave. Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion? And this would have an effective date 12/20/23, Paul?
That's fine. Gotta happen sometime, I guess.
You'd make Sarah happy if you did it that date. Instead of in the middle of a billing cycle. Is there any other discussion? Dave,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
and a yes for me. Motion carries. Thank you. I know that's hard to do. I will.
Just have to get another job.
I'll share this with you, Casey, if you wanna send it out to everybody. All right. Next item is year-end transfers. I want to applaud Casey for getting a lot of our stuff caught up, and to the point that we can get the transfers made and kind of zero some of these accounts out, and also the work of Sarah previously getting some of those and helping with it. I don't think we'd be where we're at. So with that, and you can do these all as one lump sum, but we would be transferring the Prairie View funds out into the general fund. We have a $82,298.15 that's in there. From sales tax, we go into the street fund, $31,156.96. From sales tax into the sewer fund would be $300,000. From the generation fund into the sewer fund would be $388,165.93. From Riverbend to the general fund is $139,092. I was wrong on the Prairie View. That is actually, there's a deficit in there. So we're transferring back to make that one whole and zeroed out. Debt retirement, we'd be transferring $831,686.50 into the general fund, and then debt retirement to the street fund would be $434,000. With that, you can see our general fund beginning balance will be at 0. Our street fund will be at 0. Our sales tax will have $293,650. But that should change because we'll see another income within sometime this month. Generation, there'll be $133,965. Riverbend will be at 0. Prairie View will be at 0. Debt retirement will be at 254, which you'll start seeing that growing again too. And sewer will be at 0. So the only that you would see a negative in would be very minimal, which is our USDA water, I-29 project, garbage, and the rec district, which a bill will be sent to them for that.
Did you get a chance to look on that sales tax, what that all can be used for? Is that a okay use for that on sales tax?
Which one?
For the sales tax, where do you have it going into?
The debt
Sewer?
retirement?
No, sales tax.
Option, I'll pull it up for you. Bobby was kind enough to pull the ordinance. Option number 2 under the sales tax ordinance that you guys approved in 2020 allows for utility bill transfers.
Okay.
Well, no, that's debt retirement. Debt retirement is more strict on it than the sales tax.
But what is sales tax too, though? I thought sales tax had some limitations too.
It does, but not as stringent as what debt retirement does. Debt retirement has 5 priorities, and just remember, we're transferring this so that we don't have to raise rates in sewer and general funds anywhere else, and that's when we said the budget is the biggest thing, is so that we're not trying to raise taxes, we're not trying to push more utility rates on. It's trying to keep those at a whole. But with that, you guys have seen red numbers for a very, very long time. They won't be red anymore. Or parenthesis numbers, I should say.
I think I kind of understand where Paul is going with this, because it seems like we had this conversation this morning that there's always, when we're going to pay something with sales tax, it's always, well, can we do this, can we do that? That was the question. We were just kind of wondering what stipulations were.
The sales tax fund, or 212, is a little bit more lenient on what we can spend money for out of that account.
Could you, if you get a chance sometime, just make that out for me, so I can have it in my folder?
It's
Okay.
in the budget. I can-
I don't need it right now, I'm just talking in the, so I have it.
Yep, I'll get it for you.
So the debt retirement, first priority repayment of any debt which is causing deficiency. Last year, we paid off some of the bonds with those, or loans. Second priority repayment of any debt that has resulted in has resulted in a utility rate increase or will result in a utility rate increase, which would happen in our sewer fund if we didn't do that. We'd have to have a utility rate increase. Third priority, any debt that was financed by successful assessment, giving first priority to a citywide assessment. Fourth would be a capital project that surpasses the required amount for bidding. That's set by North Dakota Central Court, and the fifth would be capital projects for buildings, infrastructure. So moving into the general fund, moving into utilities covers both 1 and 2. Is that correct, JR?
Say again? I was reading.
Oh. For the debt retirement or 535, by moving into the general fund or moving into the funds for the utilities, we are doing priority 1 and, or first priority and second priority.
Correct. Yes, that I agree with.
And so with that, unless there's no other questions, do I have a motion to approve the end of year 2023 transfers as specified on the sheet from Casey?
I'll make the motion.
Dave makes the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Nicole.
You had me at not
Any other
start.
discussion? Nicole?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carries. Thank you. Any citizens that would like to address the commission? Anybody that would like to address, or any commissioners have anything else?
I guess we have to figure out so we don't this doesn't happen again, right? We got a plan?
Right.
Yes.
What-
So that's why you hired me.
I was gonna say, I don't
And the
doubt
answer
that
is
there
always,
isn't a
it
plan.
depends.
I have a request, Levi.
Yes.
Per our personnel policy, we get a day, half a day off on Christmas Eve, and it happens to fall on a Sunday this year. And I would like to make a request that you let the employees kick the holiday weekend off and get half a day on Friday. Did we? Is that in the policy?
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I had an old one.
But since the next day is the holidays, so yes, we'd have to fall back on Friday.
Great, thank you.
Anything else?
No, I wish I
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Dave, seconded by Jason. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.